I feel like I need to do a couple of those chants now. When I say recovery, you say now. Recovery.
No.
Recovery.
No.
Recovery.
No.
When I say housing, you say now. Housing.
No.
Housing.
No.
Housing.
No.
Well, that is what we are here for today, to make sure that people know that folks who are in recovery need access to housing. Am I right?
Yeah.
You know, there are thousands of people in our city right now who are continuing to struggle with drug addiction, but they've made the courageous step towards recovery. And it is time that our state stop standing in their way and start standing with them. People who are seeking recovery, who have gone into treatment, who have said, I want to get away from drugs, they deserve our support. They deserve a place to live where they can continue that journey to sobriety. And for folks who know that the worst thing that you could do for them is to put them back in an environment where drug use is openly allowed, our laws right now require that. Do not provide any funding from the state for recovery housing, drug-free housing, sober living. And here's what we're here to say. With all of these folks who have lived it firsthand, recovery works. Recovery works. Treatment works. Invest in people who are on that journey. You know, I know that the mayor is talking a lot about our city and its recovery. And we're coming back. But for our city to fully recover, our people have to recover. They have to have that opportunity. You know, fentanyl is still the leading cause of death among people 18 to 44 in our state. Over 7,000 overdose deaths across the state just last year from opioids. And yet, what is happening? We aren't investing in the one thing that we know that will work, which is helping people get into treatment and off of drugs. The state right now has a full ban. No state funding can go to drug-free recovery housing. It's ridiculous, it's costly, it's wasting money, and sadly, and most tragically, it's killing people. Because people who need help are not able to get it. And people who need a place to live where they can get sober are not given that support. So I want to thank all of the folks who are here today. You're going to hear from a lot of them. I want to especially thank the Salvation Army and Bay Area Council and all of the folks who are here who are sponsoring the bill. And I want to thank this next gentleman who you know well, who I'm going to bring up, who in the first couple months of his administration has truly stood for recovery and taken on this question of what do we do for people in our city who are still grappling with this drug epidemic. We find ways to give them treatment. We help them get them off of drugs. And I think this is maybe one of the first bills that he stepped up and sponsored as Mayor Lurie. And I think it says a lot about his priorities, and it says a lot about who he's fighting for and who he's standing with and what he's willing to do for people in our city who need help. So, Mayor Lurie, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for sponsoring this bill. And thank you for making sure that in our city, we support the recovery of our residents in every way. Please welcome our mayor, Daniel Lurie.
Good morning, everybody. What a beautiful day in our great city. Thank you, Assemblymember Matt Haney, for leading on this, and good morning to all of you here. Thank you for being here. I am proud to stand with you in sponsorship of AB 255, a common sense bill that will give us more options to address homelessness in cities like San Francisco. As mayor, I've learned that you can't solve what you can't see. And one of the greatest challenges we face is the dual crisis of homelessness and drug addiction. I see the struggle every single day on our streets, in our neighborhoods, and in the eyes of the people that we are trying to help. The people I meet, including those that I met this morning on the way into work, are often in the grip of severe addiction. It's heartbreaking, and it's unacceptable to stand by and watch people suffer. 2 people a day die from overdose in our city. That's why this is a top priority for my administration. We're expanding treatment and recovery beds. Our street outreach teams now operate under a unified neighborhood-based model, and we opened a 24/7 stabilization center to provide immediate care to people in crisis. Under my administration's Breaking the Cycle plan, we are following the data to provide services that meet the needs of those on our streets while reclaiming our public spaces and using government resources in ways that deliver results. We're closing gaps in our system and getting the help that people need. AB 255 will give us another tool to do just that. Right now, as Assemblymember Matt Haney said, state-funded supportive housing cannot require sobriety. Listen, that policy came from a well-meaning place, but the unintended consequence is this. It's made it harder for people in recovery to find housing that supports sobriety. AB 255 will change that. It will let local governments like San Francisco use state homelessness funds to build and operate drug-free recovery housing. These residents will support people in recovery, even those who relapse, by offering a stable, abstinence-based environment. This is about choice. We must expand, not limit, the types of support we offer. Listen, when someone's done the hard work to get sober, we should honor that effort and help them stay on the path to recovery. Every day, our city outreach workers engage with people struggling on the streets. To bring them inside, we need to offer real help. And that means recovery options that meet people where they are. And once again, AB 255 will help us do that. Thank you again to Assemblymember Haney for your leadership on this issue. Thank you, Matt. And to every person whose life has been impacted by addiction or is working to stay in recovery, hear me. You are not alone. You are not alone. And you have our support. Thank you very much. And now I'd like to call up my good friend, the District Attorney, Brooke Jenkins.
Good morning, everyone. I am here to share in the support for Matt Haney and the great work he's doing with AB 255. As your district attorney, I'm responsible for public safety. And I tell people all the time, public safety is preventing crime before it happens. And to do that in our city, we have to make sure that we are enabling people to be successful in their lives. We have to make sure that we're giving them the ability not to live in a spiral of a life of crime, not to be suffering on our streets. And that's making sure that we promote environments where they can have a positive trajectory in life. And that's what this bill does. We every day prosecute people who we know struggle with substance abuse disorder. And I watch them as they come through the system and oftentimes accept an offer for treatment as opposed to something more punitive. And then we put them back into the community in a space where they are essentially set up to fail, because we're putting them back into an environment where drugs are right in their faces, where they don't have a place that allows them to stay clean. And that is a failure of government. And we must do better, and this bill helps us do better. Provide an environment where we know people can stay clean, and that helps us reduce everything that comes as a collateral consequence when people are suffering from addiction. I urge the state legislature, if there is any division on this bill, to really think about who it impacts. As only the second district attorney of color in this city, I feel it's incumbent upon me to think about the overwhelming percentage of overdose deaths that occur amongst the Black community in particular, but amongst communities of color. And when you talk about caring about people of color and their trajectory in this society, then we must do what it takes to give them the opportunity to succeed and not have systemic barriers to their success, which is what we currently have. And AB 255 is an attempt to reverse those barriers, to give people like me the chance to succeed, the chance to move their lives in a positive direction so that they don't end up in the criminal justice system or don't have any further contact with the criminal justice system. It also allows us in law enforcement to focus our efforts on other things. We don't enjoy or like criminalizing addiction. We want to be able to focus on other types of crime. And that allows us to put our resources in other places when we have people being successful in their lives who have gotten clean and no longer engage in crime. And so that's what we want to see, is society move forward. I don't want to meet anyone else whose child has died of an overdose. Most often I meet parents who have lost their children, but I have to say, just a couple weeks ago, I met a young man at a rally whose mother had died of overdose recently. I met a 6-year-old little boy who spoke about his aunt dying of overdose. This is not just affecting the people who we see on the street, it's affecting their families. These are not throwaway lives. These are human beings who are loved and who are cared about, and we have an obligation to save their lives. And so I thank you, Matt Haney. I thank you to everybody up here who stands in support of this bill, and I will continue to speak up for the recovery community. Thank you.
I'm Raphael Mandelman. I am the District 8 Supervisor and also President of the Board of Supervisors. Thank you, Madam District Attorney, for the great work that you are doing to keep all of San Francisco's neighborhoods safe. We appreciate you and appreciate that and appreciate your team. How on earth is this controversial? I do not understand. As the mayor had it right, this is common sense. This is about allowing, not requiring, allowing up to 25% of the housing that places like San Francisco and other cities do to support recovery, to support sobriety. This is good law. It should happen. It is important. It is basic. We talk a lot about listening to people with lived experience. How about the lived experience of people who are in recovery? The lived experience of people who have used drugs and who every day are doing the hard work to keep themselves sober and to support other people in their sobriety. That's who I want to listen to, and those folks are saying yes on AB 255. And thank you, Matt Haney, for this great, great bill. And I believe this year you're going to get it done because California needs it. Every problem San Francisco has is a California problem, and we need solutions from the state. And thank you, Assemblyman, for bringing real solutions. Now I say it's important to listen to folks with lived experience, and on the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, we have someone with lived experience, and from the day he joined the board, Matt Dorsey has made recovery the chief priority of his time in office, and we are so grateful for all the work. I'm just a backup dancer for Matt Dorsey in this regard, or an introducer, or a hype man, or whatever it is I am. Give it up for District 6 Supervisor Matt Dorsey.
Thanks so much, everybody. My name is Matt, and I'm a grateful, recovering addict and alcoholic. And by the grace of God and the love and support of my brothers and sisters in the recovery community, as I stand here today, I've got 4 years, 6 months, 28 days clean and sober. And together, those of us in the recovery community know we've got today and we've got each other. And I am so grateful to be joined by everybody as we honor and support legislation by a champion of the recovery community in Matt Haney. I just want you to know what it means to us to know that you are fighting for us in Sacramento. I'm grateful to our former supervisor, former colleague, Catherine Stephanie, who last year authored the legislation that I pretty much copy and paste it into this year's legislation. It's going to the board tomorrow, and hopefully Tomorrow, we will be joining Mayor Lurie with the City and County of San Francisco's endorsement of AB 255 because we need it. As you might imagine, as a person in recovery who's out and proud about that, I hear from a lot of people in the recovery community about what they need, including people who live in permanent supportive housing, people like Daniel and Danica and Eric. They're the ones who are begging and pleading. They're the ones who have made the brave and difficult decision to get into recovery and try to stay there, and they are fighting for their lives in situations that are too often drug dense. Housing first is a worthy principle, but we have to honor the founding principle that Barack Obama said in 2015 when Barack Obama's Housing and Urban Development Department talked about housing first. It should include recovery and drug-free options. California, for whatever reason, didn't do that in 2016, and it's overdue to fix it. I really appreciate Matt Haney's work on doing this. To my brothers and sisters in the recovery community, for Eric, for Danica, for Daniel, and the thousands of people who are seeking recovery while they're trying to exit homelessness, just know this: the more we can do to get them into the arms of the recovery community, the more you will see the recovery community rise to this moment and protect one another. That's services that taxpayers don't pay a dime for, but that's the kind of community that's going to save lives. Thank you, Matt Haney, and thank you, everybody, for being here. And it is now my honor to introduce somebody who has been a part of my brain trust and who has been a leader in city government for more than 30 years. Jim Wunderman is the president and CEO of the Bay Area Council. He and his team have done such great work leading this. Please welcome Jim Wunderman.
Thank you, Supervisor Dorsey, for your leadership, and President Mandelman, and Mayor Lurie, and DA Jenkins. You know, what a team of city leaders we are really fortunate to have. I have been around for a long time, and this group gives me a lot of encouragement. So thank you for the leadership that you're providing, evidenced by what's happening today. Just want to thank all the folks behind me, especially the Salvation Army, for the leadership you've provided for so many years. And Matt Haney, you're a star for doing this and pushing for it. And it's a shame, you know, as it's been said, this is nothing but common sense to do this. But sometimes in Sacramento, you know, you feel like you're pushing uphill against forces that really shouldn't be pushing back, because we need this so badly to have folks who, you know, go through recovery, have a place to go where they're safe and have a real chance of coming through this and surviving and so forth. So I just want to say thank you. Historically, San Francisco, California's greatness, and San Francisco's has rested in the belief that it is here where your dreams can come true. This is the place we need to be. But when our sidewalks and our parks and our morgues are overrun with the fingerprints of addiction and despair, well, it makes people wonder. It makes residents wonder if their lives might not be better, perhaps somewhere else. And it makes businesses wonder if their businesses should be somewhere else. When overdose deaths surged 488%, as they've done in California since 2011, it makes people wonder whether maybe our best days are behind us. But they're not. We just need to turn the page on this problem, and we can do that starting with AB 255, which I'm so proud the Bay Area Council, along with Mayor Lurie and the Salvation Army, are proud to sponsor this bill. It allows local jurisdictions to simply tap into existing state homeless programs to support drug-free recovery, an evidence-based intervention proven to lead to decreased substance abuse, lower rates of incarceration, higher incomes, increased employment, and improved family relationships. As Supervisor Dorsey said, this was a major focus of the Obama administration back in 2015, and to it, there are now 18,000 recovery units across the country, but none here. So it's time for California not to just catch up. We should be the leader in this, and we can be with this legislation. So again, thank you, thank you, Assemblymember Haney, for introducing this legislation and leading on it. And thank you, Mayor Lurie. When the mayor of San Francisco stands up behind a bill like this, it really makes a difference. Folks in Sacramento, I believe, will take notice. So thank you all again. And as I said before, the Salvation Army is over the top amazing. And I want to introduce the Executive Director of the Salvation Army's The Way Out Initiative, Mr. Steve Adami. Thank you all.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here. I definitely want to thank Assemblymember Haney and local leaders for coming together to support such common sense legislation. But before I begin, I want to especially thank Cedric Akbar and Tom Wolf, two of my peers, that we started organizing this work in 2018, and to think that we have the mayor, local and state leaders on the steps of City Hall talking about helping people get off of drugs is an accomplishment. So thank you both. You know, over the last 5 years, we've lost close to 4,000 people to overdose. 21% of those happened in permanent supportive housing. Our mayor has doubled down on his belief that people can change and overcome addiction. And Assemblymember Haney's bill braids perfectly with the mayor's policies locally. Why would we potentially want to put anybody that's clean and sober inside a building where everybody is using drugs? This is quite an accomplishment for this group of elected officials to come together and agree that people in recovery should be prioritized and that we should have services and housing specifically designed to help them reach their goals. I want to again thank Assemblymember Haney for sponsoring this bill with the Bay Area Council and the Salvation Army and really supporting the needs of people in recovery. Thank you for coming out. It's a beautiful day in San Francisco.
All right, once again, when I say recovery, you say now, recovery, now. Recovery, now. Recovery. Now. All right, well, let's once again just recognize how extraordinary it is to have this much unity in our city leadership and our state leadership. I know my colleague, Assemblymember Catherine Stephanie, wanted to be here, and she's a big supporter of this. Scott Wiener, our state senator. If we can give it up one more time for our mayor, Daniel Lurie, District Attorney Brooke Jenkins, President of the Board of Supervisors, Raphael Mandelman, Supervisor Matt Dorsey, who's been a relentless champion on this issue, Jim Wonderman from the Bay Area Council, and Steve Adami. And they were shouted out, but you got to give it up for Cedric and Tom Wolf back here, too. This is common sense. It is the right thing to do. It does work, and we need this now. What these folks will tell you up here if you talk to them is that nobody recovers alone. You need to have people with you. You need to have people supporting you. And this is what this bill will allow. People know they need to be in a community where people have their back, where people listen to them. There is not a straight line to recovery. And this bill also recognizes that for people who do relapse, for people who need extra help, they get that in this bill. But you shouldn't be forced into an environment where everyone is using drugs. This is about choices for a community and a set of people who are ready for it, who need it. And we have no doubt that this bill will save lives. For all of the people here who have been on their own journey of recovery, we commend you. We admire you and your courage. We thank you because we know you're not only doing it for yourself, you're doing it for your families, your communities, and you're helping others along with you. You're being there for other people who've been through what you're going through and have been through. And so we want to honor that, as our mayor said, and we want to honor that by actually standing with you, not standing in your way. So let's get AB 255 passed. We're going to get it done this year and signed into law, and the next time we'll all be together is at the signing ceremony when the governor signs that, and we can get more of this housing built here in our city with the support of our city leadership. So I will open it up for a few questions. The mayor is going to have to run shortly, but I know he is prepared to answer questions as well. Yes.
The mayor mentioned this well-intentioned, he mentioned in history as to why it's blocked. Why is it not allowed to be funded right now?
So, about 10 years ago, California adopted a housing first model that said they can't put any conditions like sobriety on folks before they get into housing. That had some good intentions in some ways, but now it's standing in the way of us being able to provide housing that is a drug-free recovery option for those who want it as a choice. So California's laws right now prohibit any of those dollars for supportive housing to go for any housing that requires sobriety to enter. And that now is out of step with federal Housing First guidelines. As you heard, President Obama adopted Housing First guidelines that actually said drug-free recovery housing can be a form of housing first. Now California is out of step with the rest of the country, and the money that comes from the state to San Francisco, for example, cannot be used for drug-free recovery housing at all. And that's wrong, it's misguided, and it is dangerous.
Mr. Mayor, question for you. Is there anything that is there anything hypothetically that's preventing the city from having drug-free permits for housing? Is the city paying for it since this is applying to state funds? And also to get your reaction to the Alcatraz rules?
First, on the money front, we will work with our state partners if this is passed, and we will have the funding to support this bill, and we're excited to support this bill, as is evident by today. And I think Speaker Emerita Pelosi said it right about Alcatraz. This is not a serious proposal.
Yep.
How come common sense flew out of the window in California?
You know, this bill was a form of this bill was introduced last year, and it was killed in the state Senate. It makes no sense. It didn't even get any no votes. It was stopped in the Appropriations Committee. We're doing everything to make sure that doesn't happen this year. And you know, this is as common sense as it gets. People who want to get off drugs shouldn't be placed in just in places where there's drug use. That's common sense. We're wasting money right now by not supporting recovery. So hopefully common sense prevails this year and we get it passed and signed. I think that's the last question we're going to take. We can talk one-on-one with folks.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you.
When I say recovery,